Yeah. So what's the time? 4 o'clock. Okay. So sounds on. All right. Hi everyone. Welcome to the Tibetan Buddhist Society Peaceful Land of Joy, our magnificent traditional temple here in the outskirts of Melbourne, north of Melbourne, and we're going to practice. This is our end of year Waitara session. So I'll just check with Manakam, our AV and network master, and see if the sound's coming through, because we're not quite sure if the sound's coming through okay. So, all good? All good, okay. So, I'll start off, there's a light offering for Rosie's father, John Cook, who is gravely ill at the moment. So the light offering is for him to quickly recover good health and to have many more years, if possible, of healthy old age. But if that's not possible, then to be protected if he passes, then to be protected in the intermediate state by all his merit, positive karma, good actions, and also to be protected by holy beings such as Geshe Acharya, Thupten Lodin, and bodhisattvas and Buddhas, and gain a good rebirth with a loving family, good conditions, and step by step realize his Buddha nature and traverse the path to enlightenment. So for a few moments, we'll just focus on that light offering for John Cook. So the end of year, Geshe, our spiritual head and founder of Tibetan Buddhist Society, Geshe Acharya Thupten Lodin, is he always used to end the teaching year with a Waitara initiation. And so we've sort of continued the tradition. We can't give the initiation, but we can do the Waitara practice. So to finish off our teaching year. I'll start off we'll start with just a very brief meditation to establish a motivation for this practice. So, sitting in a relaxed position with your back reasonably straight and just letting go of any tension, any preoccupations, any physical tension and so on. We let it go with the out-breath. Just breathing out, nice and easy, and letting go of all worries. And Shakyamuni Buddha, 2,500 years ago, in his first turning of the wheel of Dharma, the wheel of the Four Noble Truths, taught that within cyclic existence, all of us, being bound by delusion and karma, experience so much suffering. And this year, 2020, with the world being afflicted by COVID, and that's been very evident to many. So many people have died through COVID-19. Many, many more have become sick, and some with long-term consequences for their lungs, for their heart, and so on. As well as that, many have lost their loved ones. People in nursing homes have become isolated, often dying without having contact with their family. People have lost their jobs, been put under financial stress. And also relationship stresses. Domestic abuse has increased, and so on. So there's been a huge amount of suffering. So therefore we need the blessings of White Tara, of the Holy Mother, White Tara. The liberator of all beings. So therefore we engage in her practice today. So we can quickly, oneself and all living beings, gain the peace of Mother Tara, and quickly attain enlightenment for the benefit of all living beings. So here at this centre, our connection to White Tara comes through Geshe Loden. So the lineage, the White Tara lineage from Guru Shakyamuni Buddha, and coming down to us to Geshe Acharya Thupten Loden. And as I said, Geshe gave initiations every year. He built this temple, and there's a White Tara Tanka here. He translated the Sadhana. He gave teachings for the first couple of years when we were here. He also was giving Chittamani Tara teachings. So, this our connection to White Tara for many of us is primarily through Geshe. So I wanted to talk a little bit about Geshe, just to recognise Geshe's the foundation of this of the Tibetan Buddhist Society and the heart of the Tibetan Buddhist Society. So I wanted to reflect on Geshe to show that this centre really does have an extraordinary foundation. So some of the things that were distinctive about Geshe, it was very, very pure. So he had pure motivation. His sole purpose, it seemed to be, for everything he did was to benefit others. I know it can be, for people, it can be a bit of a yawn when you hear someone talk about their guru, because you know they've been trained, they've been training themselves to only see the best qualities as part of the guru yoga practice and path to enlightenment. But certainly with Geshe, you didn't have to train yourself to see his qualities. They jumped out at you even when you first met him, and you weren't the slightest bit interested in looking for a guru. So he had this pure motivation of sort of this sole purpose of benefiting others throughout his life. You know, for the 35 years I knew him, he's just continuously giving, often giving everything he owned away, continuously giving teachings, giving advice, giving health advice, and so on, endlessly dedicated to others. As well as the pure motivation, he had the pure ethics of a pure monk. And so all his actions were, they weren't mixed with good and bad stuff like ourselves. His speech had a purpose. All his actions had a purpose to benefit others. And the strength of that direction really came, it really came across with some very special beings. A sort of underlying purpose is just it's sort of undeniable, it's always there, and it doesn't really matter what else is going on. On top of that, Geshe gave pure transmission of authentic Dharma. So we were very fortunate that he wrote 9 books, and he came to Australia in 1976, and I think he only had $50, but it was an extraordinary encyclopedia of Dharma. So he was one of the Lharampa Geshes when His Holiness gathered the Lharampa Geshes after they fled Tibet for their examinations, and Geshe actually came out as the #1 scholar of that era. So he was an extraordinary scholar, and he came to teach a bunch of old hippies and layabouts in Australia. So that was a remarkable thing, like that he taught us. And anyway, he came with this wealth of Dharma and established the Tibetan Buddhist Society, gave maybe 35 years of teachings, continuously given initiations, organised the centres, built the temple, organised festivals, open days, met with whoever needed to be met with, whether it's council or state government officials, or met people, anyone who came for help, continuously looking after others. So, and lots of charitable drives, and Geshe was always the #1 donor of giving. We'd give far less than Geshe generally, for whether it was for bushfire victims or earthquake victims and so on. So really extraordinary. So we can imagine without these holy beings, such as Geshe, in our lives, life could be fairly ordinary. If we look at our natural impulses and what we do, and for most of us it's fairly mundane. And it's hard to gain conviction that this enlightenment that all these texts talks about, and these enlightened qualities, such as clairvoyances or compassion and love for all and so on, whether they really exist. But certainly spending time with Geshe, all his long-term students and older students, and one of the gifts that you're given is you gain some faith that extraordinary states, such as enlightenment, are possible and they exist. So that's an amazing thing. So Geshe, in the Guru Yoga section, talks about 10 qualities of a perfectly qualified Mahayana Guru. And Geshe displayed many of these qualities. It's impossible to know another's mind, but he certainly seemed to be controlled by pure ethics. He didn't engage in harmful actions, and mind appeared to be pacified by concentration and completely pacified by wisdom and so on. And endless energy to look after others and to work for others. Energetic perseverance, and so on, and caring for anyone who came into his orbit, into his sphere. So he seemed to have these qualities of the perfect Mahayana Guru. And then he took this encyclopedia of knowledge he'd built up over 30, 40 years of study, or maybe 30 years or more of study. Then he condensed this sort of vast knowledge of the sutras and tantras, the Kanga and the Tenga, and at the age of 72 started writing books. When most of us are looking at nice retirement, he started writing books, and he wrote 9 texts, most of you know of, including this extraordinary prayer book with really exacting translations of all the various sadhanas, and within all his books, very exacting translations of quotes from the great masters of the past and the lineage of the past. So he's brought all that to us and plonked it there in front of us and given oral transmission of these teachings. So it is quite an amazing thing. On top of that, for many people, he was just a really wonderful friend. Nobody knows you like your guru knows you, particularly if you have a realized guru. So many have felt like you're sitting in front of the sun or an X-ray machine. It could be a little bit daunting. You knew nothing was hidden. But on the flip side of that is with your guru, someone knows you more deeply than anyone else, both in terms of your potential and your difficulties and so on. So it's an extraordinary being, yeah. And despite being such a great scholar, renowned scholar, greatest debater of his era, for us, he dumbed down the Dharma, he simplified it in many ways. So often, he'd give very simple instruction, such as, like he'd act as a marriage counsellor, and he'd often give advice in Path to Enlightenment. If you go home and your partner, your husband or wife or partner is grumpy, when they come back late, then abandon superstition, don't abandon your worry and superstition, and take care of them. And he'd say, please sit down, can I make you a cup of coffee? Practice patience, avoid super. So he gave very, very good advice for us how to look after each other. With diet advice, he wouldn't use the word fat. He'd say, you're starting to look very healthy, and maybe you become little pumpkin. Little pumpkin. So he sort of nudged people away from too much overeating. On relationship advice, he'd give the famous 4 banana analogy, where some bananas look very good on the outside but are completely rotten inside. Some look terrible on the outside but are very sweet on the inside, and so on. And then just generally, when we were upset and agitated, which was quite often, he'd just say, calm down, settle down, and relax. everything's okay. And sometimes on top of that, it's say, if you practice Dharma, help others, support others, and look after others, then your life is useful, worthwhile, and meaningful. So, extraordinary, useful, practical, simple advice that we can take on board. So Geshe was involved in all the Tibetan Buddhist Society activities. Many High Lamas, they don't get involved in the day-to-day running of things. But Geshe, he'd very often say, I don't like statue. Mahayana practitioner, statue's no good. So he was involved in organising festival, organising the centre and the residents, keeping the residents happy, checking the fridge whether there's enough cheese for residents. He'd get involved in the garden, pruning the garden, checking up what does this need, what does that need. In the finances, he'd go with socks to the bank and whatever. The enjoyment shop with centre security. Sometimes he went to the tip, took stuff to the tip, and so on. So, or dealing with the Tibetan government, supporting monasteries in Tibet, charity drives, and so on. So he's extremely active Lama with pure motivation. So I'd like to read a quote from 1991, what Geshe said. He said, for example, if someone criticises me, Geshe Loden, as a silly old bugger, taking rubbish to the tip is not necessary. He's all the time working in the garden. That's not necessary, as he's a monk. Geshe said, that is okay. Very good. They have a different view. This is Mahayana Buddhism tradition. All people working together. We don't believe Mahayana Buddhist person is not moving, only looking after oneself. And in 2006, he said, a high-positioned person, internationally, in business, locally, in the community or the family, that person is never looking after themselves. Always looking after others, supporting others, good communication, always move, never statue. A low-position person is a big ego, never move, statue, their own power-making, self-cherishing person. So Geshe, so White Tara is renowned for, one aspect of White Tara is the enlightened activities, being very active, engaging in people's lives, in visions and dreams and giving advice. So Geshe was definitely an action Lama. He said he's not interested ever in retiring. He just wants to keep going. So Geshe was very happy when we were active in our Dharma practice and supporting the centre and helping others. So, as I said, White Tara is the same. She's the enlightened activity of all the Buddhas, as known as the swift liberator. So having said that, I'll say a little bit about the White Tara practice. Is Tibetan and translates to liberator in English. And she's the liberator from the lower realms. She's the liberator from psychic existence. And also the liberator from the obstructions to omniscience, those three levels of liberation. And they're reflected in her mantra. Geshe translated, he gives the meaning of the mantra and the three aspects of liberation are shown there. So Tara is the all-encompassing love and perfect wisdom of enlightened female form. And Geshe said many times, she's everything beautiful the expression of that perfect mind is in the perfect form. She's everything beautiful condensed into one. She's nothing with peacefulness and compassion for all, but is likened to the white radiance of a full moon. So visualizing White Tara's perfect form, then it awakens our own potential for that peacefulness and those realizations of love and compassion and wisdom. And because Tara is such a distinctly active expression of enlightenment, then it's also a very good practice for recharging our batteries. It's known for counteracting illness, promoting good health, and particularly a practice for long life, extending healthy long life. And within the scriptures, there's described 16 examples of how Tara saved various beings in difficulty, like when they were being sort of life in danger from lions and things like this. There's various examples in the scriptures how through prayer to Tara, and she provided protection. But on a more personal level, there was one when we moved here in 1988-89. One guy moved in, and he'd had terrible health issues for many years. He had excruciating pain in his side, and he hadn't been able to sleep, hadn't been able to work for many years. And he came here. And Geshe said this place is like a hospital. So this person with the pain, he'd had so many scans, he'd had 3 operations with 3 organs or parts of organs removed. So I think he had the gallbladder out, I think the appendix, and third time part of the pancreas, can't remember. But he woke up and still the pain. So at that point he was starting to feel a bit hollow, so I thought, I won't have any more surgical intervention. And he turned up here. And Geshe gave him the White Tara mantra and said, do White Tara practice, say White Tara mantra. And he just started saying White Tara again and again and again and again. And within a year, he was sleeping properly, the pain in his side had disappeared, and he was back to work. And he left the centre. And so that was a very good example of the power of White Tara and the power of Geshe, the power of White Tara. Fixed him up very, very well. So I'd like to quote from 1991 what Geshe said about Tara. He said, Tara has 2 types. There's the distinction of the definitive or actuality Tara. And this Tara is an emanation of all Buddha's activities. Therefore, from the beginning, Tara is Buddha. So in other words, she's primordial Buddha. The second type of Tara, Geshe said, is requiring interpretation. And this Tara, in the beginning, Tara is not a Buddha. In the beginning, she is generating bodhicitta, accumulating merit, and then enlightenment. What is Tara? This Tara is not a Buddha in the beginning. In the beginning, Tara was an ordinary sentient being, a person similar to us. An ordinary person with great desire, great hatred, and so forth. In the beginning, she's generated bodhicitta and accumulated peerless merit, and step by step achieved enlightenment. Many thousand eons before, in a white kalpa, a white eon, one Buddha called Tathagata Sound of the Drum. At that time, she was a girl named Yeshi, Wisdom, and Dawa, Moon, so Yeshi Dawa. Also, she had much respect to Tathagata, Sound of the Drum, to arhats, bhikkhus, and novices. And also, she was offering to Tathagata, Sound of the Drum, and to arhats and bhikkhus and novices. She received many teachings, especially the Samadhi of liberation, from Tathagata, Sound of the Drum. She continuously practiced this and received realization. Then she received the Samadhi to liberation of all sentient beings. And day and night, she continuously practiced this Samadhi of liberation and the Samadhi of liberation of all sentient beings. And then all Buddhas and Bodhisattvas and Arhats talked to her and said, from now on, your name is Tara, or liberator. Now I'll just quote one more quote from Geshe. In 1990, he was teaching Chittamani Tara teachings, which is highest Yoga Tantra form of Tara. And he said, all Buddha's teachings are included in Tara's mantra, Om Tare Tutare Ture Soha. Om, the three letters together symbolize Vajra body, Vajra speech and Vajra mind, and together symbolize a non-duality of Vajra body, Vajra speech and Vajra mind. Om is the head of the mantra, symbols are holding precious jewels. The first Tare is for liberation from lower realms and shows the path of small scope. The second Tare means liberation from samsara and shows the path of medium scope. The third Tutare means liberation from personal nirvana for all living beings and shows the path of great scope. Buddha's teachings, the path of small scope, path of medium scope, and path of great scope. Remembering this, then reciting the mantra, has much power, much energy. So, White Tara practice is specifically a long life practice, and it removes the hindrances we have to long life and produces conditions that support long life. So, how is that possible? In the path to enlightenment, it talks about three things that support our life. And if we lose one or more, then at that time we die. So those three things are our accumulation of merit, the karma for this life, the karma for life, and also our life force. And if any of those degenerate, then they can be a cause for us passing. So if our life force degenerates by, for example, excessive heat or being stuck in the desert or dehydration or overeating and so on, and we die. If we destroy all our merits through endless anger and harming others, then it can be cause of early death. And also, if the karma for this life runs out, then it can be a cause of death. So we can purify, with this White Tara practice, we purify our delusions and negative karma, and we can accumulate merit. But also, specifically, this practice enables us to hook back karma for long life from previous lives. So in previous lives, we might have, I think of the example, we might have had the karma to live for 100 years, but through one of the other conditions for life running out, we die early and we've still got that karma that can be hooked back into this life through this extraordinary practice of long life white Tara. So we can bring within our continuum these different karmas we have, we can bring that to this life and extend our life. So just, of course, just visualizing and concentrating on this beautiful vision of enlightenment is also ripening our Buddha nature. It's bringing our mind to this extraordinary qualities of enlightenment. And we can pray to Tara for her blessings and for her guidance and for her good health and long life. And there's many great practitioners were guided by Tara. So, for example, Atisha was guided by Tara to give up his royal life. He was born as a prince, and was also guided by Tara to go to Tibet to further the Dharma. And that's where Atisha composed Length for the Path, the first graduated path text, which is an extraordinary sort of a benefit to the Buddhist canon, the first graduated path. Okay, so now we'll do the White Tara Sadhana. So this starts on page 89, and we start with a homage. So I think Manikam's organised for that to pop up on the screen as well. So we'll step through the White Tara Sadhana, which has been meticulously translated by Geshe. So first of all, we'll start with the homage by Geshe Acharya Thupten Lodin. Compassion, power and realization of limitless conquerors, benefiting living beings by displaying countless dakini forms, bestowing the supreme and common powerful attainments. O beautiful lady with a peaceful appearance, I pay respect to you. Gentle with bodhicitta, never discarding beings, pure, not afflicted by attachment, hatred, and so forth. Wise, knowing conventional and ultimate truths precisely, I touch my head to the feet of the precious lineage gurus. Through great love, leading all beings to bliss, with great perseverance, achieving supreme enlightenment, with great wisdom, removing the two obscurations, I prostrate to my kindred Guru. In refuge and bodhicitta prayer. Sangha, I go for refuge until becoming enlightened. Through the merit of my generosity and so on, may I achieve Buddhahood to benefit all beings. To the Buddha, Dharma and Sangha, I go for refuge until becoming enlightened. Through the merit of my generosity and so on, may I achieve Buddhahood to benefit all beings. Special development of bodhicitta. In order to benefit all living beings quickly, I must attain the precious state of perfect enlightenment. Therefore I shall practice meditating on the non-duality of the Guru and Venerable White Tara. The four immeasurables. May all living beings have happiness and all causes of happiness. May all living beings be free from suffering and all causes of suffering. May all living beings never be separated from the happiness which is without suffering. May all living beings abide in equanimity, free from desire and hatred. Mandala offering. This ground, anointed with perfume and strewn with flowers, Mount Meru, the four continents, adorned with sun and moon, imagined as a Buddha land and offered thus, may all beings enjoy such pure lands. 7 in prayer. I prostrate my 3 doors with a mind of respect, and offer all actually arranged and mentally emanated offerings. I reveal all the downfalls and negativities that I have ever collected, and rejoice in the virtues of individuals and superiors. These remain perfectly abiding until samsara is no longer seen. I request you to turn the vast and profound wheels of Dharma. I dedicate the virtues of myself and others to the great enlightenment. And the actual practice, yoga of generation in front. Om Vajra Amrita Kundali Hana Hana Hompe. Om Sabhawa Shuddha Sawa Dhamma Sabhawa Shuddha Hom. Tompa Nidugura. Everything melts into emptiness. In space, in front, from emptiness, arises a silver palm, which transforms into a white lotus flower, symbolizing the realization of renunciation. On top of this arises a silver lama, which transforms into a moon-disk mandala, symbolizing the realization of bodhicitta. On top of this arises a white syllable tongue. From the white tongue, light radiates in the 10 directions to all pure lands throughout the universe in the aspect of precious objects and auspicious symbols, such as conchas, annas, dharma chakras, and so forth, as offerings to all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. The light also reaches all living beings, purifying them and transforming them into white taras. These, together with all the Buddha's compassion, love, and wisdom in the aspect of white taras, dissolve into the syllable tongue, which becomes very bright and powerful. Instantly the tongue transforms into commitment being, white tara. White tara has 1 face, 2 arms and 7 eyes, the 3rd eye on her forehead, and eyes in her palms and soles of her feet. Her colour is white, like an autumn full moon, and her aspect that of a 16-year-old girl. She is everything beautiful condensed into one. Her right hand at her right knee is in the gesture of supreme giving, of common and supreme powerful attainments, deathlessness, and so forth. Her left hand holds the stem of a white opala flower. She has well-formed breasts. and is adorned with various precious jeweled ornaments. She wears perfect silken garments, and her legs are crossed in the Vajra position. The Taurus crown chakra is a white syllable Om, symbolizing the indestructible Vajra body. At her throat chakra is a red R, symbolizing the indestructible Vajra speech. At her heart is a blue Om, symbolizing the indestructible Vajra mind. The white Taurus heart, standing on a moon-disk mandala, is a white seed-syllable tongue, surrounded by the mantra rosary. Om Tare Tutare Ture, Mama Aya Pune Jana Putum Kuriye Soha. From the seed-syllable tongue and the mantra rosary, light emanates in the 10 directions to all pure lands throughout the universe, in the aspect of precious objects and auspicious symbols, such as conchas, banners, dharma chakras, and so forth, as offerings to all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. All the Buddha's compassion, love, and wisdom, in the aspect of wisdom being white Taras, dissolve into the commitment being white Tara. The wisdom being and commitment being become inseparable, non-dual. Again, light emanates in the 10 directions, on the seed-syllable tongue, and the mantra rosary, inviting all empowering deities. They bestow the initiation, pouring nectar from vases into commitment being white Tara's body through the crown chakra, completely filling her body. So I'll just pause for a brief moment, and we can focus, stabilize on white Tara manifesting directly in front of you, at the level of your forehead, on a white moon, a white lotus flower, and a full moon disk, symbolizing the realization of renunciation and pure good heart bodhicitta. This perfect form of white Tara, sitting cross-legged, with our right hand in the gesture of supreme giving, of ordinary and superior powerful attainments and deathlessness, and our left holding the stem of a white pala flower. Her crown is a white Om, throat a red arm, and her heart a blue horn. Wearing perfect, beautiful silken garments. The vision of peacefulness and compassion and wisdom. Inseparable from all the Buddhas. And if you have a kind root Lama, inseparable from your kind root Lama, manifesting directly in front in the form of white Tara, smiling gently towards you. So at this point we can practice the practice of achieving deathlessness, extending life, and the practice of the ordinary and superior pathful attainments. So we continue with the sadhana. Again, light emanates from the seed-syllable tongue and the mantra rosary in the form of hooks, hooking back regeneration of deceased life, disappearing life, life taken by Maras, and life lost due to the ceasing of merit and energy. This and all the love, compassion, energy, wisdom, and realizations of the three principal paths, six perfections, and so forth, in the form of the energy of long life, dissolve into you. Think, now we have received the realization of deathlessness. So again, visualizing beautiful white light going out from White Tara's heart, from the tongue and mantra rosary, in the form of hooks, like hooks of white light going out through the universe and regenerating life. For example, when you, in previous lifetimes, you died early, and for example, bringing back karma and merit and so forth. And also bringing back all the enlightened qualities, the love, compassion, realization of three principal paths. This is all in the energy of long life, which dissolves into you. We feel pervaded by this energy of long life. And we feel now we have received the realization of deathlessness. And we continue with the sadhana. From the seed-syllable tongue and the mantra rosary of White Tara's heart, white light and amrita emanate and dissolve into you through the crown of your head. White dakinis visualized above you also pour white amrita from vases, which flows down through your crown. This amrita completely fills your body, purifying all negative karma, delusions, unhappiness and suffering, which leaves through the pores of your body and disappears underground. Your body becomes pure and clear like crystal. Think, now we have received the realization of peacefulness. To stabilize on being filled with radiant white light and white nectar of peacefulness. This beautiful white light is washing out all negativity, all impurities and so forth, which disappear forever. And of course, if we like, we can visualize all living beings around receiving the same purification. And we continue with the sadhana. On the seed syllable tongue, and the mantra rosary at White Tara's heart, orange light and amrita emanate and dissolve into you through the crown of your head. Orange dakinis visualized above you. Also pour orange amrita from vases, which flows down through your crown. This amrita completely fills your body, increasing your wisdom, your compassion, bodhicitta, and all the realizations of the path to enlightenment. Think, now we have received the realization of increase. And we continue with the sadhana. On the seed syllable tongue and the mantra rosary at White Tara's heart, red light and amrita emanate and dissolve into you through the crown of your head. Red dakinis visualized above you. Also pour red amrita from vases, which flows down through your crown. This amrita, or nectar, completely fills your body, generating the power and energy to peacefully subdue all beings. Think, now we have received the realization of energy. And we continue the sadhana. From the seed syllable tongue and the mantra rosary at White Tara's heart, blue light and amrita emanate and dissolve into you through the crown of your head. Blue dakinis visualized above you. Also pour blue amrita from vases, which flows down through your crown. This amrita completely fills your body, purifying all negativities, hindrances and disease. Negative influences, both internal and external, are destroyed immediately. Think, now we have received the realization of wrathfulness. now we do some mantra recitation. So again, in the mantra recitation, we will visualize our Guru or all Buddhas in the form of white Tara directly in front of us. And we visualize the mantra at our heart going around the silver tongue. So we can read what Geshe's written here is a translation also. So the mantra Om Tare Tutare Ture Sova. The Om shows the body, speech and mind of all the Buddhas. Tare is for the liberation from the suffering of the three lower realms, and thus indicates the path of small scope. Tutare is for liberation from all the sufferings of samsara in general, and thus indicates the path of medium scope. Ture is for complete liberation from the obscurations to omniscience, and thus indicates the path of great scope. Soha completes the mantra with let it be thus. So we recite some of the short mantra, then some of the long, while visualizing. And if we like, we can visualize any of those, for example, the deathlessness hooking back, or white light, white hooks hooking back, regenerating life, and so on. Om Tare Tutare Ture Soha. 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 And if we like, we can also say the long mantra. Om Tare Tutare Ture Mama Aya Punya Jana Putin Kure Soha. Om Tare Tutare Ture Mama Aya Punya Jana Putin Kure Soha. Om Tare Tutare Ture Mama Aya Punya Jana Putin Kure Soha. Om Tare Tutare Ture Mama Aya Punya Jana Putin Kure Soha. We can say either mantra with this practice. then we practice the final prayer. O Venerable Tara, through your power, the life and merit of myself and all the beings equal to the far limits of space are increased and extended. O let it be done. My life is protected. Diseases and hindrances are pacified. All negativities and obscurations are purified. The supreme and common powerful attainments are quickly attained. O let it be done. And we go to page 96. And the special dedication. I guess your chariot and loaded. When the interruptions to life or inauspicious signs of death arise, may I clearly perceive like Tara. With clear perception, may I abandon impure death, and may I receive the realization of deathlessness. By the force of the 10 powers and uninterrupted intelligence, may I instantly have refuge from all that frightens, from disease, plagues, evil spirits, hindrances, untimely death, all bad dreams, bad signs, and so forth. By this single-pointed prayer, I entreat you to bestow the power never to be separated from a teacher of the Supreme Vehicle, but to achieve leisure and fortune and meet the Conqueror's Dharma. May all quickly achieve the state of perfect enlightenment. And we do the general dedication prayer. By this virtue, may all beings complete the collections of wisdom and merit, and attain the 2 holy bodies arisen from wisdom and merit. May the precious superior mind of enlightenment be generated in those who have not yet generated it, and not decrease in those who have developed it, but increase continuously. And if we can just say the final prayer of the Lam Rim, because apparently on the 10th of December it's the when Lord Tsongkhapa went into parinirvana. So Lord Tsongkhapa, the founder of this Gelug tradition, is extraordinary holy being. Wrote the great exposition of the path of enlightenment and many extraordinary commentaries on Sutra and Tantra, and founded this tradition, the Gelug tradition. And Geshe certainly had extraordinary respect for Lord Tsongkhapa. He said in Tsongkhapa's time, the Dharma flourished. It was similar to the peak of Nalanda time in terms of he just said that a Dharma flourishing occurred. It was on Karpa's time. So we're on page 31, we'll say the final prayer of the graduated path, composed by the unequaled second Buddha, Jetsun Tsongkhapa. By the two collections vast as space, amassed with effort for a long time, may I become a chief of conquerors, a guide for all beings whose mind's eye is blinded by ignorance. Also in all lives who will not yet come to that, may Manjushri favour me with his compassion, finding the supreme path, complete with all stages of the teachings. May I please the conquerors by practicing well, by my precise understanding of the essential points of the path, with skillful means drawn along by strong compassion, and by dispelling the mental darkness of beings, may I uphold the conqueror's teaching for a long time. Where the supreme precious teaching has not spread, also where it has spread but become degenerate, with a mind deeply moved by great compassion, may I make clear this treasure of benefit and bliss. The stages of the path, excellently established by the marvellous deeds of the conquerors and their sons, give glory to the minds of those aspiring for liberation. May the conquerors' deeds be long preserved. May all humans and non-humans who remove the obstructions and establish conditions favourable to cultivating the excellent path never be parted for all of their lifetimes from the purest of paths which the Buddhas have praised. When someone makes effort to practice properly the 10 points of conduct of the Supreme Vehicle, may he always be assisted by the mighty protectors, and may oceans of good fortune spread out reaching all. So we can dedicate this session and this year's teaching to the continuation and thriving of the Tibetan Buddhist Society, whose the purpose of the Tibetan Buddhist Society is to bring the Dharma into people's lives, so to help beings develop their own enlightened qualities, through their patience, their compassion, their wisdom. That's the whole purpose of this place. And to see, and it was established by Geshe for that purpose. That's what. So we need to try to do our best to bring that about, both for ourselves and for others. And also to dedicate for the rapid return of our extraordinary action Lama, Geshe Charitutten Loden, the return of Loden Rinpoche to continue the embodiment of enlightened activities, to continue to benefit us and other beings, everyone he encounters, basically. So we dedicate towards that. And to Rosie's father, quickly recovering and so on, as we dedicated at the beginning. So, but also we'd like to give Tibetan Buddhist Society to give a big thank you for everyone who supported the Society throughout. It's been a very difficult year. It's been difficult for individuals, difficult for businesses, difficult for religious organisations and voluntary-based organisations such as ours. So a huge thank you to everyone who's come when able to help with our working bees, everyone who's helped with all the various activities, particularly the online classes. A huge thank you to Manikam and to the team, the online support team, who've enabled us to keep going and keep teaching this year. Thanks to everyone who's a member of the Society that helped support us, and everyone who's attended teachings, attended the online retreats, and that helps support the society, helps keep us going, and also everyone who's just been part of, it's such a great community of people with very great purpose. So yeah, thanks for that. Thanks for being part of that. And also, hopefully our normal program will continue. We'll get our normal program going again in 2021. Um, but for the time being, we've been a bit limited, and we're still trying to sort out our COVID restrictions and so on. So it's a Merry Christmas from everyone at the Tibetan Buddhist Society. And school's out, so like schoolies, you can now head up to Queensland and get blind drunk and like schoolies we. No, I'm not sure what else I'm supposed to say, so I've probably said enough. And just a big thanks to everyone for being part of the society and for nurturing your Buddha nature. As Geshe always used to say at the end of classes, please take care of yourself. So that's what the Buddha said. We have to take care of ourselves, our own minds. And Geshe used to say, good evening, please take care of yourself. He thought that was a wonderful saying. So take care during the break. And hope to see you soon. Thank you.